Hey guys, it's me, Kelly. I have an extra special treat for you guys today. Back by popular demand, we have TruthSeekah. And this is very exciting. We asked last time, do you want TruthSeekah on again? And I think we had several hundred of you say, please have him on again. So here we go. Introducing Derek of TruthSeekah.
Hello, how's everybody doing? I'm definitely flattered, man, at all the love and outpouring that we had from the last show. And I didn't think I was going to get that kind of response, man. But everybody, all your viewers and all your friends and everything are really, really cool people reaching out to me to come back on the show. So we're here. So I hope,
Yeah.
I hope we're going to have a great show. We got some stuff in store for the people, and I think it's definitely going to help them out today.
I think so, and I think you really touched a lot of people, and this is what I felt when I listened to your music. Like there was something so different about your music. So in other words, that means there's something different about you as well. So you just really touched the hearts of a lot of people, and they really like you.
Yeah, I've been getting nothing but love from from all your fans, viewers, people, friends, family. But I think there's something different about me. But I think it's something as well. It's something that they see a piece of themselves in me as well. I see a lot of times where people want to ask the questions or they feel the same way that we do, but they may be a little afraid to voice their opinion because of what the unthinking majority is going to say to them when they, whether it's about psychic abilities or angels or demons or anything like that. But once they see somebody standing up in the crowd and asking the questions and saying what they believe in their heart, they kind of alleviate some of that fear, and they don't feel as persecuted or as scared to say what they believe in. So I think that's what's awesome about your show and about me coming on as well. So it's amazing, and it's a big part of not only what I do, but to just inspire other people to do the same thing, to do what I'm doing and do what you're doing, to just basically live your truth regardless of who agrees or disagrees. It's your truth,
Oh, exactly. And don't step on other people. That's important. But yes, be genuine and live your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Now we want to remind everybody that we've got the question and answer app on. So you can, I still don't know exactly how this works, but I think you can click on the screen where it says if you want to ask some questions, and you can put them on there. And we have a basic outline for the show, but it's basically, what would we call this, free-for-all? We're just going to talk about psychic experiences or spiritual experiences and kind of what we have been through, and hopefully give you some advice. Those of you that are just starting out, or you're in the middle of, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. What do I do? So we can kind of share some of our experiences with you and see if it helps any, and hopefully answer some of your questions. So when you were a child, because that's when it began for me, is I would, lay down in bed, and there were these entities that were guarding. I assumed they were guarding me, and there was a lot that of stress, I guess, that I was under, and I kind of needed guarding. So that's kind of where it started, and then telling my mom that there's these things. I describe what they look like, and she's like, "That's nice, dear," and just plays along, and then it got a little more serious to where I started to know future events that were going to happen, and I would tell my parents, and they would happen. And then it was kind of like, okay, my mom never said there's something wrong or there's something weird with you or anything like that. But then it was kind of like, okay, we're Baptists, so let's just keep this between us. I believe you. That's something that really helped me a lot, that my mom actually believed me and wasn't like, you're just making this up. But then it was hush-hush. Like, yes, I acknowledge this, but it's almost like it was on the level of a sin and bad. Did you have anything similar to that?
Definitely having the childhood experiences while just laying in your bed and having these different thoughts and energies come in the room. And, I think I spoke about it on the last show about, waking up in the middle of the night when I was like 3 or 4 years old and being pinned to my bed by these entities, I didn't really speak on it as a child, but for me, that was an experience that, really set the course of my life, and me getting into spirituality or knowing that there was something else to this realm of existence and just, you know, going to work and you know what I'm saying, paying bills and things like that, that there was some type of other power that was there. So, and I think other people are having these same experiences where they're laying in the bed and they're having these weird dreams and these weird thoughts and hearing voices and seeing images of people that they don't know, or maybe loved ones, you know, coming up in their mind and they can't get them out their mind and things like that. So really, you know, I think what we can talk about is understanding that, and whenever we started responding to it, because I think a lot of people are having these encounters. I think that a lot of people are feeling these energies and vibrations and having these thoughts. And the main thing, if you can take away from anything, is to understand that most people think it's their own imagination. You know what I'm saying? They think it's just their mind playing tricks on them, or they have a overactive imagination. So it's once you start to respond to those imaginations, once you start to say, hey, there may be something more here, and you respond to it, and then something happens. You say, hey, whoa, there was something more there. This wasn't me. This was coming from somebody. This was coming from the spirit. This was coming from God. And what it does is it basically builds your faith, so that you start out with these small things, these small instances that happen, and you respond to it, something happens, and you get bigger and bigger and bigger with it, to where you're confident in it. And when it happens and when it comes, you know that it's the spirit leading you, or somebody needs help, and you can be a vessel for their healing, for, you know, their you know, course that they're going to be on, for information that they need to know. So what I want to try to do is, like, in a real practical way, just by telling stories about how you know, we may have, you know, had those instances that happen. And I could say probably one of the first ones that really struck me, I went to visit my brother in prison, and I was probably 15 at the time this happened. So I went to visit my brother, and everybody that I looked at, like, I knew why they were in prison. I looked at a guy and I knew he was in there for child molestation. I know this other guy was in there for running drugs, and it was really weird to me, and I thought that it was my mind playing tricks on me, or I was just, like, overly judging everybody. I'm like, why am I judging all these people? I have no idea why they're in there, so I'm just judging all these people. But it happened in a way that really scared me, because everybody I looked at I knew, and it was just this crazy situation, and it was hard for me to stay focused. So, but even then, I didn't respond to it, but I knew that something happened, so I began to get into some books or whatever that kind of piqued my interest in the prophetic and in the psychic abilities and psychic phenomenon. And so there would be times, you know, that would happen. I remember this one time I was in Walmart with my wife and a friend, and we were actually going to check out, and there was a little lady in front of us, and she had some fruit and a couple of canned goods. And at the time, I probably had, you know, $7, $8 on me, and we were buying something, and I knew that when we left, that we were going to go to Sonic or something and buy a burger, and this was the only money I had for that burger. So I was like, well, as soon as we left, we were going to eat. So, but I felt this really strong urge to pay for her food and pay for her. You know, just a couple of canned goods that she had, knowing it probably was, you know, $3 or something like that. I felt this really strong urge to do it, but I'm fighting with myself. I'm like, no, this is the only money I have to eat on for tonight, and we're going to go get burgers. I can't spend this money. But the urge kept getting overwhelming and stronger and stronger. Pay for this lady's canned goods. And I kept telling myself, no, I'm not doing it. It's like I was talking to somebody. I was fighting with my conscience or whatever. So whenever she went to pay for her food, they told her the price, and she didn't have the money to pay for it. And she ended up having to put some stuff back. And I sat there and watched the whole thing unfold, but out of pride and out of selfishness, I still didn't pay for her food. I let her put stuff back, and she just got the one or two little things she had, and she left. And so we paid for our food. Well, we paid for whatever we were purchasing, and I was leaving. And I told my wife, I was like, I had this really strong grievance on me. I was like, we were supposed to buy that lady's food, and I knew it the whole time. And the fact that we didn't, the burden and the guilt that I had from that, it's like, man, I missed an opportunity So I knew that the next time something like this happened, the next time I start feeling these energies and start fighting with this person, to, you know, maybe see what he has to say and do it and see what happens. And the majority of the time it's to make your pride look bad. It's to make you look bad, because you have to become second. You have to become a servant. It's not about you. It's not about your pleasure and things like that. But the whole thing about it, if this is what you're seeking, you take pleasure in helping others. So that was a big lesson for me, and I was only 15 when this happened. So we start there, and we move on to, you know, some different things that were a little bit bigger. So I guess with that story, I guess I just throw it to you if you have anything to say on that, you know, where people can start responding to these instances as well.
Yeah. Well, while we're waiting for them to respond to that, we do have a question about astral travel.
Okay.
Do you? This was by Juliet's Third Eye. And she's just saying, do you astral travel? If so, how do you do it?
I see a lot of stuff. It's not like for me personally, when I'm spending time in meditation or when I go to sleep, it's not that I set my mind to, okay, I'm leaving my body and I'm going. When I do it, I'm taken to a totally different place. Whenever I would set time to meditate, close my eyes, I really don't travel the heavens or anything like that too much. But what I do see is I always see a light when I close my eyes to spend time in prayer and meditation, and I personally focus on that light. A lot of people are asking, you know, what are some tips they can do to meditate? I personally get everything out of my mind, all the thoughts from the day, all, you know, the bills and work and job and music. I clear everything out of my mind and focus on the blackness in front of me. If images start coming up from my mind, I try my best for the first 10 minutes or so to actually get everything out of my mind. And eventually, if I'm quiet enough, usually a light will appear. And I begin to actually follow that light. And once I do, and I keep my concentration on that light, different thoughts come in, different messages, different energies and things like that. Beings can appear to you, you know, while you're doing this. And I've also heard people say similar stories where they actually go into that light. And I haven't done that yet, but I'm not sure what happens once you do that. But spending time in meditation and prayer, you're definitely engaging, whether it's astral travel or wanting to you know, to hear from God or hear from the Spirit or whatever. You're actually setting up a solace moment for it to happen, and it's really powerful whenever you have a real busy or a hectic day, and you take time to say, you know what, I'm not gonna watch my favorite television show. I'm not gonna get lost in Facebook. I'm going to make this time my time to press in and get in the Spirit and travel and seek and, you know, talk to your higher self. And there's so many things that can happen, but astral travel is one of them. So, but that's really not my forte. Like when I do it, that doesn't happen every time. It has happened. I have been taken to different places and seen visions and things like that. And I think everything that you see, everything that you hear and feel, it's all amazing, whether you're traveling the heavens or you're, you know, dealing with some pride issues and kind of battling yourself when you look within, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Facebook is kind of like being abducted by aliens. You get on there and all of a sudden 5 hours is gone. You have this missing time.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the astral travel, I did it like a few times before I died, and then after you die, that's kind of the ultimate in astral travel when you die. And so it's like, oh, this is how you do it. So when you get inside this body, like I can astral travel, like I don't even have to meditate. I can be like standing in line at the grocery store and do it. But the biggest thing, and you know, maybe you can help me with this, is I don't know the difference or how to do things differently or what it looks like that's different between astral travel and remote viewing, because there were times I thought I was remote viewing and I was actually doing astral travel. So how do I know the difference? How do you know the difference?
I really can't tell you the difference. I think, you know, most of the time they say the difference is the intent, like you know what I'm saying, what you're doing while you astral travel, just leaving your body and going to another place. And a lot of times you're trying to, you know, whenever somebody's remote viewing, they're trying to get some information from somebody or spy on something that's physically there, like to travel this dimension. I think that's dealing with remote viewing, and astral traveling is usually when you travel to ether or you travel through space and time, and you're taken to totally different places. But they could be one and the same as well. I'm definitely not the the end all knowledge on that, but that's my.
Well, you were saying like remote viewing is in this dimension.
Mhm.
And from other people I've spoken with, when I thought I was remote viewing a moon base, I found out they actually are functioning on like maybe the fourth dimension.
Mhm.
So then that would have been astral travel according to kind of
Mhm.
how you're explaining it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be lost in terminology there, because there'll be people
Oh,
who are like gung
exactly.
ho, like no, 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 you wasn't doing that. You were astral traveling. You wasn't remote viewing. But I've definitely done a lot of studying on it. I haven't physically, intuitively left my body. I have, like, a lot of times when you do it, you snap right back whenever you're just getting started. So I'm definitely not advanced on that, but you definitely can when you're meditating. If you're trying to move, a lot of times in the beginning you'll feel like you're looking around. And I did it, like, I think one of the first times I did it, I was trying to move my head to actually look around, and I thought my neck was turned all the way to the side, and it kind of scared me, like that I was going to break my neck or something like that. But when I came to, I was just looking forward. So you just got to learn. Like, a lot of times, as soon as you see a vision, or you start seeing entities or something like that, it scares you and you snap back. So
Mhm.
a lot
A
of that
lot, a
stuff,
lot of
I'm
people
still in the
snap back
beginning
because
stages of like just snapping back back and forth. But then even that, to know, okay, when this happens, I gotta press in. Don't let it scare me. You hear stuff creaking in your house or something while you're meditating and you're dealing with entities. It can be used as a distraction to actually make you snap back. But once you have to transcend that stuff and get past it, that's when everything goes a lot deeper.
do you feel like you're falling? Because that's a very common thing when people start, is you feel like you're just falling. And that's hard to get over, and that's why they snap back.
Well, I mean, I have that experience when whenever I'm about to enter the dream state, when I'm going to sleep. That happens to me almost every night. Not really while I'm spending time in meditation. I really don't have that experience.
Oh, that's good. That's really good because it freaks people out. Jules Love asked, do you fear encounters with negative entities during astral travel or otherwise?
At this point, I don't, because in my past, like, that was the first entities I've dealt with were straight negative black entities that wanted to harm me and my family, and wanted me to be possessed, and wanted to suck energy off my body, and wanted to manifest through my life. So I dealt with these guys early on. And when I changed my life, whenever I, what I'm saying, took the high road and quit doing all this negative stuff I was doing, I quit dealing with them. So, like, when I deal with negative entities now, it's pulling them off of people. It's pulling them off of people who are oppressed or possessed or whatever, or have some type of spiritual attachment that they need help with. So when I'm going in, I go in with the understanding and intent that God has my best intention in mind, and that that He's going to protect me. That, what I'm saying, the white light of the Holy Spirit is going to go before me, and that nothing can harm me. And if I know that if my conscience is clean in everything that I'm doing in my life, then I'm fine. But if I've got some shady stuff going on, if I'm trying to get my name out there, or trying to, what I'm saying, use people in order to step on them to move up this corporate ladder type stuff, then yeah, you're going to be dealing with some dark energies behind that. But I think that if you have a clean conscience behind it all, you're going to be fine.
The negative entities I encountered when I didn't know I was doing astral travel, but when I went to the moon, these were hybrids. They looked like a cross between human and gray hybrids. And that kind of confused me because I felt like I was about as solid as they were. But if they were in another dimension, and you're kind of in another dimension when you astral travel, that's how it is. I don't know if they could have touched me or harmed me because I popped out real quick when they started running towards me. But those are the negative entities that I encountered while astral traveling.
Yeah.
I didn't encounter like demonic entities or anything, or angels or anything like that when I astral travel. I don't see any of those. I see them like here. Like, I just look over here and, there's angelic beings right there that I can see, and I'm not astral traveling.
Yeah.
It's just, they're just right
Yeah.
there. So that's, everybody's experience is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
on that one. Let's see.
I will say though, like if you're having a dream and you keep having a reoccurring dream that a monster or a killer is chasing you or something, there's a lot of power in you for your life in the physical realm when you stop in your dream and you face that accuser. Whenever you face that devil or that demon or whatever's chasing you, stop and turn around and face them. And whether you have to kill them or you just turn and show them that you're not afraid, there's a lot of breakthrough that actually happens in your real life whenever you face this in the spirit realm. I've had personal breakthrough doing it, the same reoccurring dream over and over, and I'm trying I'm trying my best to run and get away, and I'll get out the door and slam the door and then it's over. But when it happens, 3, 4, 5 times, and okay, I need to face this monster, and when you do that, if you're dealing with addiction or something like that, a lot of times these strongholds will break when you face them in the spirit like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We've got a question. I guess this is towards you. What is it like to die? I don't want to take up too much time talking about that because I've got a whole video and a whole video series about what it's like to die. But dying is like freaking awesome. It's like, oh, where's that question? I need to poke. There we go. I selected it. There we go. Yeah, it is so awesome. Like the before dying part, that's not fun. Because it's like pain and I don't feel good and ow and oh I can't breathe. And then once you just stop breathing and you pop out of your body, it's like you're in instant bliss, like in unconditional love, and everything is made of light. And there's beings there to help you, and you get you touch the entire universe and you feel it, and you're touching it here. But you might not be aware. You're absolutely aware that you're just one with the universe when you're outside of your body, and you get the knowledge of the whole universe like just immediately, and it's like, oh, you remember who you are, which is an eternal being, may or may not have a name. You usually don't call yourself a name or a vibration. Who you are and what you are, and why you came to this planet. So that's the short version of what it is to die. Do you have you had a near-death experience or know anybody that has had a near-death experience?
I would say that I had a near-death experience when I was at my wit's end and dealing with all these different demonic energies that were messing with my head and had me. They started messing with my body, making me think that I was a hypochondriac, making me think that I had any type of cancer, lying to me, making it hard for me to breathe and things like that. When I went through that and went schizophrenic and went totally out of it, like I felt like I was dying. I literally felt like an entity was taking my mind from me, and that right there was the scariest thing I've ever dealt with, and it happened for a couple of days, and couldn't look people in the eyes and things like that. But when I came out of that on the other side, it was just me basically becoming broken and crying out to God saying help me. And when I did, I believe that the universe came through, and I got involved in church and stuff at that time. And but I definitely felt like I was having a close encounter with death right there.
Oh yeah.
Very scary.
Definitely. There's a question by Adam. He says, can you ask divine source for information?
Oh yeah, that's where everything comes from. That's where everything comes from. It's whatever you want to call it as well. Like a lot of people get scared about the terminology or whatever, and I always struggle with that because that's what we study. We study terminology into different people. Whenever we're saying something, they be like, "Oh, but you didn't call it by this name." It's like that's not even the name, really. It's just what we.
It doesn't care what we call it.
So if you're talking to your higher self, or you're talking to the spirit, or you're talking to God, or you're talking to Jesus or Baba G, or whatever master you're dealing with, just understand that God in general has your greater good in mind, and yeah, that's what you approach. You come to learn, you come to be taught, and you come in service of others to over service of self. And yeah, you just pray it. You just speak it out loud. Speak it to the atmosphere. Speak it to God. Look up to heaven. Get on your knees. Spend some time in meditation. Whatever works for you. Whatever that you can do to set up this solace moment and talk to the divine spark, and it talks back. That's the cool thing. it's not just us, saying these prayers and thinking that nobody hears us and stuff like that. What I will say, what really helped me was the fact that when I was a teenager, when I was a child, I was depressed a lot. I spent a lot of time by myself, and I felt like nobody loved me, and I felt like I was always alone. But once I came into the knowledge of God, and once I surrendered my life to the higher power and physically said it, physically did some things in my life that I needed to get rid of to prove almost as a sacrifice that you know what I'm saying, here I am. Like ever since that moment, I've never felt alone. I've never felt like I was by myself. I've always, so it kind of like, not in a scary way, but in a friendship way, that I always watch what I do to make sure that I don't do others wrong, that I don't harm others, that I don't, get involved in things that I shouldn't, because I feel like I have someone here with me, whether, it's God or the Holy Spirit or whatever. I never felt alone. So anybody who's feeling alone and anybody who feels lost, just know that, that the Spirit is a companion and is a friend to those who need a friend as well. And so that was like a big, a big thing for me that led me into depression and stuff. And ever since that happened, I've never felt alone. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was in church, and it was the typical get Jesus in your heart and all that, and maybe I just did it wrong, but that just never worked for me. None of that did. I mean, I went through the motions, but I didn't feel different at all. But I had a very real experience probably less than a month ago, and there was I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I'll do a whole video on what happened. But I kind of went outside, and it was very significant that I was kind of like, this is something that happened a few years ago when I came outside, and it reminded me of it. So I just looked up, and I was basically in that moment talking to Source, I guess, and going, okay, are we going to do this? Meaning, joining the network and all these projects and everything moving forward. And then the wind went through the tree, and it was like kind of like, yeah, Kelly, I'm still here, and we're going to do this together. And I said, well, if we're going to be doing this, I need a little help, because I'm in like this body thing here. This limits, and I'm going to need some help. And I don't know what this is at this point. I can only guess. It was approximately 6 feet long, and it appeared like, how you have a cotton fiber that is kind of like a little, it's mostly in a straight line, but it's kind of a jagged straight line, a cotton fiber. That's what it looked like. It was like 6 feet tall, approximately. It's about this big around, and it was made of light. And, excuse me, it came down from the top of the tree, and it came down to the grass. Then it kind of turned over on its side, and then went, it was about this far above the grass, and it came towards me. And I was just told, accept this. Just take it, accept it. I had no fear. And I can tell when there's, something's up to no good or, evil involved, and I didn't feel that at all. I absolutely trusted it. It came behind me and kind of stood up, no legs or feet, but I mean, it stood up behind me. And then it went inside of me. And when that happened, it was like, okay, this is really, really freaky. It's like I felt so much bigger than I was before, but it didn't feel like another entity was inside of me at all, because I've taken in other entities and allowed them to express themselves through me. This was completely different. It was like more of me got in my body. And then after that, I got what you call upgrades. Then again, it's terminology. What do you want to call it?
Exactly.
I just kind of have to make stuff up because I don't know what to call it. Then I got more upgrades, if you will. And then after that happened, that got inside of me. I had some friends kind of help me with this, and I got this connection with Source, if you will. That to me was like this big around, and it comes through the top of your head. It's like this golden ray from Source to you to the top of your head. It was no longer like that anymore, and people could see that on me, that I've got this almost like this golden tube around me that I'm completely inside of, that I'm connected to Source all the time now without going, okay, let me see, I'm going to connect to Source, and I'm going to do that. I had to do that before, and I haven't done that. And then ever since that happened, everything has started to fall in place in my life. So that experience, it's really funny because it sounds, with different terminology and different details, it kind of sounds like what you were saying also with your experience with church.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing, to really touch on about what you're saying, as far as what these spirits look like and what these vibrations and stuff look like. So like a lot of times people think it's gonna look like, if it's negative, that it's gonna look like a monster, and if it's positive, it's gonna look like a beautiful angel, and or it's gonna look like a human. That's not the case. These spirits and vibrations are, a lot of times they appear as smoke. They actually appear as a little bit of mist. And things like that, or they appear as a shadow, or some type of orb or something like that. So I remember the first time I was laying in bed, and I was just laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and I had some stuff I was wrestling with, that I had this strong intuition urge that I needed to take. It was actually, I needed to take something off of Facebook that I posted. It was something that was probably going to hurt some people when I posted it, and I was like, well, it's the truth, I'm just going to put it out there. And it was like, no, take it down, and I didn't. I left it up, and I was going to sleep, and I was wrestling with that, and I was staring at the ceiling, and I just seen like a shadow, and the shadow was there. Then the shadow turned gray, and it started moving across the ceiling, and as soon as I seen it, there was a fear that entered me, but there was also a message. So this spirit actually brought forth a message that you need to go in there right now and undo what you're trying to do. So I got up and I ran into my daughter's room and checked on my daughter after having an experience like that. I checked on her, then I got on the internet and pulled it off. And I was actually reading in the Bible, and the same thing happened to Job. And I want to share this scripture if I can, just to kind of give you some biblical insight about this happening. This is in Job chapter 4. And there's a lot of stuff that actually happens in the middle of the night while we're trying to sleep. There's a lot of biblical insight about God dealing with you when you go to sleep. That's one thing about it. Like, people, like, no matter what they do during the day, when they go to sleep, they got to deal with God, So that's one thing about
pretty true.
Yeah, so this is Job chapter 4. It's starting in verse 12, and this is exactly what happened. When I read it, man, I got chills. And this is Job writing, and it says, he said, "Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and my ear was received." He said, "And my ear received a little thereof." So, and in verse 13, "In the thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men." So this is in the night when you're going to sleep. He says, "Fear came upon me, and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. And a spirit passed before my face, and the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof." So it's letting you know that it stood still, but it was moving, like I was saying, like the mist or the smoke. Said, "I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before my eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice." So he heard this voice speaking to him. And this was something that Job was dealing with, but the voice actually said to him, "Shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his maker?" So this is the thing, like, a lot of these spirits, they come to actually bring a thought. They come to bring an emotion or a feeling, and that's the whole thing when we're talking about vibrations. Like, if you can see in the spirit, you can see these vibrations, you can see auras, and you can see spirits a lot better. And that's the thing, that, like, a lot of times they're formless. And so when I read that, it really shook me. But it was the same thing that that happened. So it's pretty it's pretty amazing. But the understanding that that's how spirits operate, and we're dealing with spirits a lot more than we think, and a lot of times they're thought patterns, and that's the whole thing dealing with religion, because they're dealing with spirits as well. And when it's a lot of time, it's a lot of control and a lot of deception and manipulation going on. Even in the scriptures, it tells us that we don't war against flesh and blood, but our battle is a spiritual battle, that we deal with entities and principalities and powers that are set up in high places. We're not dealing with people. This is a spiritual war, and we're dealing with all these types of vibrations. Some of them come to bring messages, some of them come to scare you, some of them come to do harm. But a lot of times we don't see the messenger. We don't always see the vibration of the spirit, but we feel it, or you have a thought into your mind, and this is what's going on. This is these spirits that work.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. When you are able to see spirits all the time or at will, then that's when you truly know. There's, believing, like, okay, I believe the spirits do a bunch of stuff. Then there's like, well, I can see them, and then you know. So yeah, once you can see them, you go, I'd never realized this is all spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is just a vehicle. Just something that you might use in a video game, this thing we have. But everything is outside of this, and this is just the game, the superficial game. Yeah, I deal with spirits all the time. What was so unique about this one, that thing that came into me, I felt like more of myself. But I asked several people who knew what they were talking about, and people I trusted, because almost 100% of everything that they said came true or was right. And I said, what is inside of me? what happened to me? And so they kind of scanned or read, I don't know what you call it, but they looked at the energy and said, Kelli, that this feels like it came from source. This is absolutely source energy. Yeah. And they said it's similar to the energy they feel from the angels. So I think what happened is, I don't know how to technically say this, but because it was like, okay, if we're going to do this, I'm going to need some help. I asked for help. And as a result of that, I think I got more energy, because after that happened, everything changed. Like, I was able to handle and deal with things that I would have like pouted and stomped off before, and I just handle it and move on. Yeah. So I asked for help, I got help. But the cool thing is, like if you're in church or whatever, you may not be able to see this, and it's like, okay, I know I got help, but I don't know what happened, but I saw it. That's the cool thing, when you can see these things. You saw what gave you help. Yeah. It's this big, long, illuminated cotton fiber.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, it's not getting caught up on the form of what it looked like, because obviously we all want to see big, beautiful, angelic beings with wings and light beings and stuff, and it's not always like that. I mean, it does happen. You do see those guys. They are there, but you don't always see them. And another thing, as far as like, when people are having these energies, when they're having these thoughts, these imaginations, and I mean, that's the big thing, the imaginations. A lot of times you'll feel pain in your body, and I remember when it was happening to me, I would feel a certain type of pain, whether I was in a prayer meeting or at church or just spending time with somebody. I remember being at a prayer meeting one time, and this was the time that I actually acted on it. So we were praying, we were spending some time in worship, listening to some music, and I had this crazy pain in the back of my neck, and I couldn't move my neck. And anytime something happens like that, you think that it's you, or you think that you have an ailment, or you think, if you're spiritual or you're a Christian, you think that the devil's trying to attack you with some type of illness or something like that. So I had this pain come on my neck, and it scared me, and I started like rebuking the devil. Get off of me. I don't want you on me. I'm healed. I'm walking in love and light, and you're not going to deal with me like this. I rebuke any unclean spirits trying to mess with me, and it would never go away. A lot of times, if it isn't a personal attack against you, it'll stop. It'll go away. You take authority over it. You renounce it. Kick it out. It'll go away. But when it stays there like that, you kind of move on to the next thing. So I had all these little experiences that happened. So I just like, okay, let me just announce this in the room. Let me tell everybody. So I said, does anybody have any pain in their neck? Is anybody experiencing pain and they need healing in their neck? And I kind of stepped out on faith to do that. But when I did it, a guy had just been to the doctor that same day who was in the room. And he said, yeah, me, I just got back from the doctor. And I said, okay, can we lay hands on your neck? Because I believe that you could be healed. And we prayed for his neck, and the pain went away, and the entity left, the spirit left me, the pain left me, and I had this gratitude, like, man, okay, this is real, So it just begins to build your faith. There was another time that I was in a service where we were listening to music. Well, we were actually at a church service, and they were playing music, and I went deaf in my right ear in the middle of service. And the same thing happens. You always think it's, oh my God, I'm deaf. I need, I need to go to the doctor. I need help. But then
Well,
you
that
pray.
happens to me all the time, and it's kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
pay attention. Whenever that happens, I need to
Yeah.
pay attention.
You have to, especially if you're moving in this realm. Like if you're not, and that's the thing. Like, but once you start doing it, and you start, point A to leads to point B, and you build up faith, and you trust it with a few things. Then once you're faithful with that, you'll be trusted with more, bigger things coming on, where you're able to make these decisions. So I went to the pastor because I knew the pastor, and I told him what was going on, and I asked him, could I release it and ask anybody on the microphone, and I did, and somebody came forth who had a hearing aid in their ear, and I put my hand on his ear and told the spirit to leave, to make it leave, and then he said, I can hear a little bit better. So we did it again, and then he felt the power of God and everything, and he got healed. He was fine. He could hear perfectly, and so that's the thing. You got, like, I could have sat there like my finger in my ear the whole time, like, what's going on? Maybe the music's too loud. Maybe I'm too close to the speaker. But once you take it to the next level,
And
you
you act on
begin
it.
to speak on it. There was times where I was going to do some music at a church years ago, and we were almost there. We had a good drive. It was like a 3-hour drive or something, and we were almost there. And before we got there, I had this crazy pains going through my heart, like I was having a heart attack. And at first, I wanted to, get scared or whatever. But then I was like, I put it in check. I prayed, and nothing happened. I rebuked, if anything's on me trying to attack me, to go. Nothing happened. So I said, okay. I began to pray and understand that there was a grievance going on, that the people were dealing with some issues at this place, and we were going to have to do some intense warfare, to be prepared. And we actually dealt with a lot of young women who were dealing with abuse and who have been through some abusive relationships and stuff. So these are just these feelings. So pay attention to your body. This is some of the the clairvoyance and the different things that you hear, you feel, you taste, you'll smell, these different impressions. And it's almost like a game, because it doesn't come to you like, Kelly, I want you to say this, I want you to do this. It's a game. It's like, okay, let me get this, let me seek, let me pray, let me meditate on this, what does this mean? It's like the spirit doesn't say, Kelly, you need to quit doing this, blah, blah, blah. You need to speak this out tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. Like, you have to seek the spirit on it. You have to, it comes through in symbols and riddles, and you don't have dreams of futuristic events and they're just plain as day. I seen blah, blah, blah happen. It's usually symbolic. It was like that in all the holy books. God uses symbology because you have to seek out the answer. It just doesn't give them to you. The prophets and the sages and seers, they had to seek it out in the scriptures and things like that. So there's all these different things, that energies and understandings and stuff, and you gotta respond to it. You gotta respond to it, and it builds your faith, and you're able to move from one level to the next with it. And so that anybody getting started, even somebody who's deep, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to move to that level, and you have to respond in this way, and you'll actually be surprised. And you have to step out in faith. You have to make your pride look funny, because you're like, oh, well, nobody said their ears hurting. Everybody's good. Okay, go sit back down. So that's what I was thinking. So once you move to that level, man, that you can deal with the spirit like that, and he can trust you to, deal with people and move forth in healing and miracles and things like that, and everything becomes a lot more interesting.
And you got the spirit and their promptings and the guessing game and all that. You have to learn a lot of things through that. And some things come through the psychic abilities. Like the very first crystals I ever bought was like amethyst and some black tourmaline and I think pyrite. And anyway, I had this in my truck with me, and I was on the way home, and everybody's heard this story before, but because of that combination, or just the amethyst, I don't know, all of a sudden my ability to hear thoughts, hear other people's thoughts was enhanced, and I heard, I'm hungry. and it was just this desperation, like, I'm hungry. And then I knew it was coming from, right over there. And I look, because there's never any homeless people or anything in this area. But, I start to go around the curve, and I see that there's a man sitting right over there. And it looks like he's probably hitchhiking, going, across country. And I just keep hearing, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And something just told me to go buy him some food. And so I bought him some food. And Terry Rhodes was his name. I'll never forget it. And so I brought him food. I walked over there, and the cool thing was there was a guy from the city of Arlington, worker, that he saw something, a woman, walking over there to a guy in the middle of, on the side of the highway. And I think he was kind of very protective. He stopped his vehicle, and he got out, and he just stood there and watched. Kind of like he was protecting me or whatever. So I brought it over there, and when I brought it over there, he said, I said, are you hungry? Would you like some food? And he said, you are an angel. He said, I asked God to send me an angel to bring me some food. I was so hungry, and I was crying out to God, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And I heard that. So that's one way that you can use, not just the spirits telling you what to do or anything like that, but using your psychic abilities to help other people is by reading their mind. I intercepted a prayer, if you will. Maybe on some way that was, God, the source, whatever you want to call it, handling this problem.
We're not going to get into that. We have no idea what to call it. We just make it up as we go, really.
Yeah, it's
that's
just
the bad thing about it. Everybody does, so nobody's like the end-all source on the name or what to call it or something.
Because there is no name. We just make it up, whatever makes us feel comfortable. Yeah, so. It was Christos, oh gosh, how do you pronounce his name? Christos Gekin. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. When I meditate, I feel huge, and I also, like, my perspective is outside my body. What is that? Like, why do they feel huge?
It could be that they're actually building up their spirit body. A lot of times it's like whenever you feed your soul, whenever you feed your body, whenever you work out and things like that, it's like a muscle. And I think like I actually feel good. I don't feel huge. I feel good. Like, it makes me feel good. Like I'm gaining experience and things like that. I don't feel huge, but everybody's different. I'm not sure, but I don't know if you can answer that.
Well, I mean, what happened to me, because I had an experience that I found this out after I died, and I came back. I don't think I wanted to completely come inside of my body. And it was so hard to control, just my arms and my legs. It felt like I was a marionette puppet trying to control myself with strings, and I'm a beginner. I don't know what I'm doing. And it felt like I was out here instead of in here. So I asked someone, and this is just their terminology, I said, why do I feel that way? Why do I feel bigger? And I can't control my body very well. And they said, oh, you're living on the edge of your aura. So it's just, what they said is just a perception that your aura is bigger than you, most of the time. But then you put your attention, I guess, more in here than outside. So once I got grounded is what happened. I grounded myself. And then I kind of went right back in my body. Then I could control my body easily. And do that. So that's, who knows if we answered that question or not, because we, both had different experiences.
Well, I will say, when you're talking about being able to hear the different thoughts or whatever, that's a big thing too that I think a lot of people's dealing with, especially they think it's like some type of mental illness or something, that whenever you get around people, you actually can feel their thoughts, you can hear their thoughts, and you can feel it. And it's crazy talking to somebody, especially when this first happens, because you don't know how to deal with it. When you're talking to someone and you already know what they're thinking, whether they're judging you and you're talking to them and they're like, who is this person? You can hear that, like they're saying it, and you feel it. It's weird because I have this thing about me where I kind of feel like they are like it's a mutual understanding that we both know that they don't like me or they judge me or something. But it's not. It's not a mutual. He hasn't spoke it out, and I'm picking this up. And a a lot of times, you know, it could be in a positive way or a negative way. You can use that for healing and for healing and to help other people, or sometimes these spirits are intimidating, so you need to know who you are as a person. You need to know who you are in the spirit, so that you won't be intimidated by any entities. You won't be led by persuasion of these different negative entities and vibrations and stuff like that. So to really know who you are, because you'll talk to somebody and you'll be like, man, this person doesn't believe my story. Like, you'll be telling a story and you already know that they don't believe you, and they haven't changed their faith, they haven't said anything. You're like, man, he already doesn't believe me. It kind of gives you a one-up, so that you'll kind of know where to go with your conversation, or you'll know the questions to ask or something like that when dealing with somebody. But that's a big one, and you're able to hear and feel their thoughts.
That's huge, and you can understand why. A lot of people are scared of that. Like, okay, I don't want to live in a world where people can read my thoughts. Well, why not? Because when I read someone's thoughts, it's like, okay, I intended to go over here and say this to this person, but I get over there and suddenly I read their thoughts and know that they had a fight with their husband that morning.
Exactly.
And their kids, they didn't go off to school on time and all that. Like, you can read that. And, let's save this conversation for later. So when you say one up, people think like, oh, you're going to be cheating me at a card game, or you're, and things like that.
Hey, if people can use these powers, man, and these abilities for evil too, though. There's people who I believe do that.
And that's why we teach protection. And how to protect yourself, and how you can block other people out from reading your mind.
Exactly. So that's why you always walk and you try to keep your mind on heavenly things, on good things, that you're not having all these different energies and stuff coming in and actually, leeching onto you, or psychic vampires dealing with you, because you're a positive person and you're walking in the light. And that light's going to shine forth, and the light is greater than the darkness. So, like, if you're walking in the light, there's no need to fear somebody's thought pattern or let it jump on you. But you'll notice how somebody's having a bad day and they bombard you with all this information, and like sometimes it can be like, man, now I'm having a bad day. This person told me about everything. So that's why it's up to you to, when the information comes in, when the spirits and vibration comes through, you got to deal with it, try to help the person when you feel it. I remember there was one time we walked in this room at church for like pre-service prayer or whatever, and as soon as we opened the door, I felt like something hit me in the face. It was like this real heaviness, real heavy burden. It was like, man, what is going on? And there was a lady who was in there in the back, and we went to her, and she was crying, and I was able to feel. I didn't see her crying, I didn't hear her. We felt it when we walked in. I was like, wow, what's going on? So we went to her and talked to her, and she found out her husband was actually running around on her and stuff, and was able to actually, provide some comfort and talk to her and kind of encourage her and things like that.
I think you're getting in her business, is you care about her as a person.
Yeah. There's something going on, and if they want to know, you don't have to pry. If they want healing, they'll tell you. You know what I'm saying? Or if not, it's on them, and they'll fight with it long enough until they know that, okay, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, or I just need somebody to talk to. And a lot of times you can deal with this information. They can't deal with it. They don't know how to respond to being cheated on. They don't know how to respond to being fired from work. So they need to vent. And you, as a spiritual person, you can take that burden and put it where it needs to go. Not take it upon yourself, but just release it and say, okay, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So, and then if you've been through that, you can actually, provide some type of answers as well. If you've never been through it, sometimes it's hard to be like, okay, well, this is going to happen. But once you go through these different situations in your life, and you have this sheet of just things you've been through, when somebody goes through that, you're able to help them. And I think a lot of times when we deal with heartache and stuff like that, it's for that, just for us to help other people whenever they go through it, and help them process the feelings and respond the correct way.
Yeah, and I think they respond better when they trust you. And in trusting you, and people who have these abilities, they need to maintain a level of trust and confidentiality, because you do get into areas people don't want other people to know. But if you know, that's one thing, because you are meant to know so you can help. But then you're not meant to go gossip.
Yeah. Definitely don't, because there's a lot of people who do that, and I think you know what's crazy though. That's why like we have such a hard time in churches and things like that, because that's what they do. Because people are really open about, because you know what I'm saying, they want help, they want healing or whatever, and they'll have this false confidence in somebody and they'll tell them. So we talk about it, this little joke. It's like when a prayer meeting turns into a gossip party. It's like, hey, you guys, we need to pray for Kelly because she
And
just da da
I'm
da da
not
da
I'm
da
not
da
gossiping,
da.
I'm sharing.
Yeah,
So that's
So
how
be
it was in
careful with
church.
that. Yeah, yeah,
It's
just
not
deal with
gossip,
that
it's
yourself.
sharing.
Just deal with that yourself. Don't be taking people's information like that and stuff, you
Yeah.
know.
And
So
I'm like, that's
it's a
gossiping.
big
No,
thing. That's a
oh
big thing in
no, we're
churches, yo.
sharing for the sake of helping someone. Really?
You could really hurt people, man.
Your
Like,
prayer to God is just not gonna do much then,
yeah,
right?
I got but everybody's prayer together will do it. You know?
Yeah, and then everybody goes home and tells their spouses and tells everybody all everybody's business.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, no.
Don't do that. That's big with like
Don't do
spiritual
that.
circles
You-
and churches and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
if you want to share something, because this is how energy works, you say there is this person and they're having
hmm
this problem.
yeah, there
And,
you
but
go.
you don't name it. You just say there's a
hmm
person, they're having a problem. Please put good loving energy in their
hmm
direction, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. I think that there's nothing wrong with that.
hmm Yeah. That's a perfect way to do it. Perfect way to do it. You don't have to name them and call them out and shame them and hope somebody else tells other people. Because anytime you're gossiping like that, there's spiritual connections with that too. Like anytime you're gossiping, it's always this deep root of, I want this person to look bad so that you think I look better. Like I
That
rejoice
is
in
true.
you being
Oh, that's
smaller
so true.
because you'll think highly of me. So anytime you do that, whether it's on the job site or whether it's dealing with spiritual issues, like that's always a root that's there.
And they've got a problem in the first. People that gossip, they most of the time I see they don't feel good about themselves, and when they
Exactly.
gossip, they get attention.
hmm Yeah. Oh, well, like I was talking to a brother yesterday, and it was just like we mentioned that and the fact that they don't see themselves in that light, or they look at themselves with a critical eye, not a self-betterment eye, because that's always good to examine yourself and your
Hmm.
thoughts and your motives, but they're real critical upon themselves, so therefore they're going to be critical with others, and hopefully
Correct.
they're going to
It's a
feel a
mirror.
little
They're looking in the
peace.
mirror.
They're going to feel a little piece of release or a little piece of joy when you're feeling like they feel. You actually, you know, I think they hope that you're going to be sympathetic with them.
Oh yeah, there's sympathy and then there's empathy.
hmm
So
Yeah.
we got another question. This one looks like a really good one.
Okay.
By sorry, I'm pronouncing all your names wrong. Miss Minerva Midnight. Oh, that was easy. Okay. I have been having chronic nightmares for 10 years. Always end of the world catastrophes. I'm a very loving and have a clean conscience, but do seem to absorb other people's energy. Do you have any insight into how to make peace with my nightmares? Thank you.
Yeah, I would say just take the advice from earlier. If you're dealing with any negative stuff, like someone trying to kill you or someone trying to do harm to you, or alligators or snakes or anything like that in your dreams, always face them. Most of the time, these dreams are just symbolic of things that's going on in your everyday reality. But whenever we're having dreams of apocalyptic things happening, the world ending, bombs exploding, it's usually that's not what's going to happen. I know a lot of times we like to interpret it that, I
Hmm.
predicted 9/11 because I seen a explosion. Well, if that's the case, then you would have had enough spiritual discernment to stop it from happening, which that's not the case. Usually it's just symbolic of something happening in our own world, not the world ending or the world exploding. It could be that you are going to another level and some things are blowing up, some cities and some establishments are ending in your own personal life or spiritual life, that they are happening or they need to happen, that you're going to be a wreck until you deal with them, that your world is going to be chaotic until you deal with this stuff in the physical realm. That's the majority of the time. That's what you're dealing with all these, because people will have that stuff and then they'll do TV shows and try to warn people that the world's ending, and they've been doing that for too long. And it's never the world; it's always our world. So
That's true. We create our own reality. We've got another question from Ida M. excuse me, I want to try to see entities, but I'm too afraid. I get scared. I'm afraid to start seeing things and then regret it.
Mhm.
I do see auras, but really want to do more and discover. But this is holding me back. Do you know anything that could help?
Release the fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, fear is the strongest thing. Fear is a crippler. Fear prevents people from living their life to the fullest and really doing what they want to do in life. You're saying you want to see spirits, but you're fearful. Like I said at the beginning, if you're walking in the light, like if you have a clean conscience, if you're not hurting people, if you're not conspiring against people, I believe you have nothing to fear of any type of evil entities or spirits or anything like that. Pray over yourself before you go to sleep, that you'll have an experience, and always just, just believe that God has your greater good in mind. That's always worked for me. I've seen the negative stuff, and seeing is one thing, but actually having it leech on you and what the effects that it's having on other people's lives who can't see them is a lot scarier than seeing some type of entity. And so yeah, just release the fear. And if you want to see it, if you want to move to this level, just tell the Creator, tell the Spirit, just ask them if they will open your spiritual eyes of understanding, that you would be able to see in the spirit realm. And see, a lot of times you'll be able to see entities that are on other people, and you'll be able to help them. You may see an entity riding on somebody's back. You may see snakes around people's feet, things like this. And a lot of times you think it's your imagination, and it's not. These entities are really there, and you're able to see in the spirit. So it says, he who has an eye to see and ears to hear, they're going to be the ones who are actually going to be moving in the spirit realm like that. And at this point in society, like, it's needed. So the very fact that you want to means it's going to happen. Because we're not trying to convince you. We're not doing this show to convince people. This is for people who already are intrigued by this stuff. So since you're already intrigued and you already want it to happen, says volumes about you actually being able to see some stuff.
A lot of it I see is the fear. This is not just based on seeing entities, but on a lot of things, the fear of the unknown. That you don't know what's going to happen. So there's a automatic fear there because you don't know.
Yeah.
That's typically what I see. But
well, even if you have the fear, because I mean, fear is a natural thing. Sometimes it's a healthy fear, but
not if it prevents you from moving forward.
It's just trusting. Just trust. Let your trust outweigh your fear. That's the whole thing with relationships. You see a lot of people who fear that their spouse is going to cheat on them. It's just scary. Like, I'm afraid of that too. I don't want my spouse to cheat on me, but I trust my spouse. I trust that she won't, and my trust outweighs any type of fear. So I don't entertain those fears. So that spirit of fear, because fear is a spirit in general, and the spirit of fear has to leave with that situation. So.
Yeah, the funny thing is, on the cheating spouse thing, it's most people that are so fearful that their spouse is going to cheat on them, they behave in a way where their spouse actually ends up cheating on them, because it's
or
like
they treat them like they already have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, if you think I'm cheating, I might as well do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we've got a question, and you've got a daughter. How old's your daughter?
My daughter's 9.
9, and you've just got one.
Yeah, just Nevaeh. Yep.
Does she have psychic abilities?
It's she has some stuff, like we're harnessing and stuff, and she spends a little time in meditation, but it's nothing crazy right now. She's just enjoying being a kid. So I'm just trying to harness it and do the right things as a parent. And really just I think a big thing just to make sure that she doesn't get caught up in any of the negative stuff like I did when I was her age. But I'm always open to listen, and I've had fears as well with her, obviously, just having dreams and nightmares and stuff, but with negative entities and things, but everything's been positive at this point, and we just we spend time in prayer and meditation. We pray every night, and we let her understand that everything's real. And so she's really big into fairies and stuff like that. We did have an experience a couple weeks ago with some fairies in our backyard, which blew both of us away, and we got to experience that together, which was really cool. Because we actually built the fairy house years ago, one of the little fairy houses we built in the backyard, just for fun. and a couple weeks ago we seen some stuff which was really cool.
Well, it's all about intent. Because, I
Yeah,
mean, you can put
exactly.
anything out there, but if your
Yeah.
intent is this is a fairy home,
Hmm.
then they will, if you believe it, they will come.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true though. And if you're like worried about negative entities, you're almost in
You're
a sense
attracting
you're
them.
going to be summoning them. And understand that these negative entities are on a very low vibration. So if you're walking in the light itself is way above these negative entities, and they can't deal with you at all.
Mhm.
At
And,
all if
and
you
that's how
mess
to
with
get
them.
over the fear is just do it the right way.
Hmm.
Protect yourself, and you'll be fine if you protect yourself. And then if you do see negative entities, you know that you need to be protecting yourself more, and you
Yeah.
need to change your attitude. Because
Yeah.
just because they're there right now doesn't mean they're permanent. You can
Yeah.
do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
just if you want to see them, just start by, asking spirit to show them, to actually show you these spirits on other people. Because trust me, in this world that we live in, there's a lot of negative spirits and entities that are riding on other people and sucking off their energy and making them think certain type of psychotic thoughts and making them react to certain type of situations that they're, what I'm saying, they're out there. So I mean, it definitely. I know it's hard when we're talking about healing people and performing miracles in public and stuff like that. That's a big step to do. Most people's not going to start out just walking up to random people. A lot of times it could be if you have a prayer group or you have a meditation circle and you can kind of actually experiment together with someone that you trust and stuff, and you can see stuff on each other and help them get to their next level in their spiritual walk. But when you see it, do it. Like if you see it in
Mhm.
public, do it. Like walk up to somebody and just like a lot of times these entities and these spirits are on people because they believe a lie. Because a lot of times it's a belief system that comes with these
Oh,
spirits.
yes.
And a lot of times it's not like trying to pull them off in the spirit or rebuking this entity. Most of the time they won't even leave like that. You have to address that lie or address that unbelief. So once you speak truth to them, and truth and knowledge is light. Once you're walking in the light and you're dealing with light and not being confrontational or I'm right and you're wrong, but doing it in a loving way, then a lot of times those spirits will leave just by you speaking the truth in love. And that's a big thing. And there's a lot of instances in the scriptures where that happened as well.
Mhm. Knowing that you create your own future, why do we have lies in there? If you create your own future, you have to speak the truth because then you speak it into
Yeah.
existence.
Yeah. Or the lie can be your truth, and you're living this lie that you made up and you're the only person dealing with it, but to you it's your reality, it's your truth. And I mean there could be good things there, but also obviously a lot of negative as well.
And that's why I came here to learn these lessons. And there's a question. This is directed towards is Samantha an indigo child? And I feel like I did a whole video on this, and I want to see how you feel about this. I feel like after looking at all the categories and reading, an indigo child and a crystal child, and they have a light worker, they have all these traits, and they
Yeah.
behave this way or whatever.
Yeah.
If I had to categorize myself, I'd have to categorize myself as an early indigo. If
Mhm.
someone just said categorize yourself, but then I think people get too caught up on these groups. Like I'm a
Yeah.
crystal, I'm a
Yeah.
rainbow child, I'm an indigo child. Like
I'm an
what are
old
your
soul.
what are what are
Yeah.
your feelings about that? Do you
Yeah.
think it matters if you're indigo or an old soul or star child, or do you think that even matters?
I
Or
don't.
what's
I
your
really don't.
opinion?
I really don't. I know
Do you
something's
think
going
it
on.
exists? I mean, do
Oh
you think
yeah.
that there are different ones? But why do you feel that it's not important to know?
I don't feel it's important. I don't think labels are important. Because then once you start showing different things outside of that label, then you're no longer that label. Like I am this until we start talking about this, or I am a crystal starseed until I, blah blah blah, or really have this information. But because it just, I think it divides and separates us. You know what I'm saying? It could be real. You could be an indigo. You could be a starseed, and there's people who claim that. But just pay attention to the information. That's why I try not to use labels. I'm not saying that it's not accurate or it's not real, but as far as putting star seed across my chest or something like that or whatever, like I try not to, because like I feel, because definitely dealing with religious people, like if I share a teaching by Manly P. Hall, and I believe in what was said in that teaching or that quote. They say, look, he believes that everything Manly P. Hall believes. I'm like, no, 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 I don't. There's some things I don't believe in, man. And so, like, grouping people into, okay, she's a New Ager. No, just what do you mean by New Ager? Well, New Agers is blah, 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 blah. So hold on, wait, but she doesn't do this, she doesn't do that. She's a really good lady. She's not, you know what I'm saying? So it's like all these labels and stuff. I don't deal with it, but I know that the character traits are there. I know that there's something more going on with our spirit. We have a connection to space. I gaze into the heavens and gaze into Orion and personally and feel like that's where I'm from. I personally believe heaven is past Orion through the Horsehead, you know what I'm saying, nebula, like your friend Danny Wilton explains as well. And
yeah, he's really good at explaining that.
Yeah, there's definitely if any of this stuff resonates, it's going to fascinate you. So if you have a fascination with you know, healing people and stuff like that, that's your calling. Like, it's real. So don't say, okay, I'm a faith healer, because, you know, that's what I want to call myself. Because when I hear faith healer, I'm going to tie all these things with your faith healing that most of the time I don't like.
Terminology.
It's like, hey, I'm a Christian. Oh, I know how those
it's
Christians
like,
are.
Oh, you know,
yeah.
it's like, don't
it's
label
like, no,
yourself,
I mean,
because
no,
it'll be
yeah.
like, oh, hi, or get away from me.
I'm an occultist or whatever. Like, oh,
yeah,
really?
Like,
you believe in blah, 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 blah? You believe in black magic and you talk to demons? No, I don't believe that. What are you talking about? So all these labels, you can keep them. I try to, in that, I found a piece where I can deal with all people according to where they're at. Like, I don't have to just deal with church people, or I don't have to just deal with New Agers or people who, because people want to identify themselves with a movement, or they want to feel like they're a part of something. So that's a lot of what we got going on as well. So
and
that's why I don't use it.
Yeah, the only label that you need is a record label. Oh, where'd he go? He just got up and left. There you go. He's back now.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was like, did the dog need to go out again?
No, the dog needs to go out. But I got a friend of mine who just showed up. This is one of my right hand men right here, Shane, the Hollow Boy.
Say hi. Let him know he's live first.
Yeah, I know. What's up?
Hi there.
So yeah.
Oh, how awesome. Yeah, I was just saying the only label you need is a record label.
Hey, there you go. Now we're talking. That's what I need. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So anybody who can help me, man, with some type of management and booking, I suck at it. I cannot do it. I can make the music and we'll get it out there to the masses. But as far as like playing shows and things like that, I'm ready. So I need some help in that area. Personally.
Okay, guys. Yeah. So if you know of any venues for Derek, TruthSeekah, yeah, please let him know where he is needed. You're desperately needed out there in the music scene. Desperate, because I don't see stuff like what you put out there.
Yeah, and I think the hardest part about my music and what I do is, you know what I'm saying, the niche of it. Because I try to go and do a show with like people who do trap music, which is like club booty shaking music, and just because I do rap, it's like, can I come perform? And it doesn't go over well with the night and with the vibe and everything. Like, I can have talent and they'll be impressed with the talent or whatever, but as far as the subject matter and the content, like, it doesn't really go off well. So it's been kind of hard for me just to take what I do in my visuals and the concepts that I talk about in my music to that stage. So that's why I'm needing help, definitely.
Awesome sauce. Well, we have far exceeded our time, but it was wonderful, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say? I
want to challenge everybody again, if they want me back, to tell it, list it in the comments if you want me to come back, and we'll make it happen by popular demand. So. By
popular, this was way popular demand. Like, I can't tell you how popular you were.
Yeah.
After that.
Well, I think these shows go hand in hand, because a lot of people, they got to hear what I was about, and a lot of stuff is real, like with the religious sect and stuff like that, and being straight biblical. So they're like, okay, now we want to activate this stuff. Like, where do we go? So listen to this show several times, man, and when you have these thoughts and these ideas, you'll always think it's your imagination. You'll always think it's just you. But once you move on it, once these people start, letting you know that, hey, you know what I'm saying, you were right. it actually builds your faith, and you can move, and you can start to build that muscle. So definitely move with that imagination.
And this is why I do shows like this, is because the majority of time I find people through my suicide video. And that's the point that they're at. That's why I want to do this, like you speaking your truth, is keeping people from watching my suicide video, basically, and getting themselves back together before they even get to that point. It's what we want to do. Because in the past, this has been squelched, this has been hidden, this has been suppressed, and it will be no longer. And you are one of the ones that is going to make this mainstream.
And like, I think my whole message is not to bring anything new to the game, to anything new to spirituality, but to really uncover what our ancestors already knew. What you know what I'm saying, the biblical sages and seers and the prophets, this was normal stuff to them. The stuff we're talking about, this isn't new. I didn't make it up. It's all in the holy book. So we're just trying to take this stuff and share it with the population. So it's nothing new here. It's all very well documented. So we're just trying to dig up the past and actually return to our roots, return to our essence as a people, and our spiritual rights. You know what I'm saying? Our birthright. That you know what I'm saying? Because if you don't know who you are, they'll be able to tell you who you are, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, we've got so many questions over here left. I'm so sorry, guys. We will do this again if you let us know you want to do it again. In the comments, we'll have Derek back on and see if we can get any more wisdom and knowledge out of him, because you seem to just be an endless well of knowledge. Like, I don't know where the bottom is to this well.
I don't either. You know, but so it's almost like a jack of all trades, a master of none. It's the fact that there's a little bit of everything. We didn't even really talk about aliens or UFOs or anything. You know what I'm saying? So there's like all these streams that are real, and all these different streams of information we can deal with and go down, and we can offer some information. But you know, it's awesome. So whoever needs to see this show, they're going to see it. They're going to get it. They're going to get what they need out of it. And, you know what I'm saying, we're going to do more. So it's all good. But, yeah, definitely go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got a new one at this point. I had some problems with YouTube as well. But it's TruthSeekah, Truth, SeekahLCOB. And you can subscribe there, and I'm sure she'll put a link in the description as well.
Yes, if you could send me several links too. Just go ahead and send me a list of links, and I'll put them in the description of where you can find your music and your YouTube, and where you can buy your music and places like that.
Okay, yeah, I'll put everything in the comments as well. So I'll just put a comment with different videos and links and stuff, so everybody can see them there too. So.
Awesome, awesome. So it'll be about 30, 45 minutes or so till I can get those on, guys. Sorry about that. So you'll have to watch the video again. So thank you so much. It is always a pleasure to have you on, and to get such wonderful insights from you on all these diverse topics. And since you are a wealth of knowledge, I really hope they're going to let us know if they want you back, and I hope they say yes, because I want to have.
I don't care if you want me back. I'm coming back anyway.
So I hope, please, guys, let them know you want it back, and then we'll get you back. And I don't know what the next topics will be. I guess we'll find out. We may do. Did you like this, answering questions?
Oh yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was really
cool. We're engaged. I mean, people, you know, we're answering the questions, so we can do it live. That's pretty awesome.
Yes, that is fantastic. I have intelligent fans. I really do.
Yeah, no, a lot of. I mean, that's what I was. You know, what I'm saying, complimenting you on, like the people that you're dealing with.
Aww.
Usually you get a lot of trolls and stuff, and people hang around. There was like one negative one. It was somebody who knew me from something else or something, but everything else was all positive, and they want to see me back and asking questions and complimenting the videos and stuff. So they're very cool, and I've gotten to become friends with some of your fans as well. So it's awesome.
Oh, I love it. Now they're your fans.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? Definitely shout out to everybody. Shout out to Chanel, because I know she's watching, and she supports what I'm doing, and I found her through you and everybody else who I'm forgetting. There's so many people. It's amazing. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, fantastic. And your audience is just going to keep growing and keep growing. And guys, just share his music. Get the links. Share his music with everyone, because this is somebody worthwhile to support. This isn't just good music. It's good music for a cause and for a reason. So please, please support TruthSeekah in all of these endeavors. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, and I guess I will see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye-bye.